All right, then. Thank you so much for staying with us. My guest, I introduced him earlier, as an investment promotion expert, also an economic development expert, Mr. Ogbonna Ukuku. We'll be taking it up from where the minister stopped, talking about investment, drive, and all of that. So, thank you so much for coming in first. It's good to see you live in Lagos studio.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm sure you heard the minister there. A lot of efforts obviously being made by government to continue to drive investment. I normally say this, that you see Mr. President everywhere leading that charge. Brazil, we can go on and on to various countries. But as an investment promotion person, what do you make of these efforts by government? Let's start that way.
Okay, so first things first. Every time you see government out there trying to market Nigeria, it's because there's always need for government to be out there. Just like they say, if you don't come to the market, nobody will know whether you have anything to sell. So whatever product you have, you need to be out there to sell whatever you have been able to, the policies that you're churning out, things that are happening in your economy. Because, I mean, the truth is everybody's looking for investment, including the United States of America. So there's no real saturation when it comes to investments. So every single country is looking for investment. So you have to be out there. The president has to be out there leading, and then, the ministers have to be there too, also trying to, be part of the conversations to make sure that these policies and plans of the government, is something that will be acceptable to the world, because you actually need that foreign direct investment if you must grow your economy. Indeed.
And we're having more of FPIs, like I asked the minister, but she says it's a sign of stability. It's a sign that the economy is growing. It's a sign that things are working right. Do you agree with that?
Okay, so this is what it is, yeah? Yes, it's a good sign. I mean, okay, it's just like I always give this description. I mean, it's, when you're describing, portfolio investment and,
foreign direct
investment. So I use an illustration that portfolio investor is like someone who wants to date a girl, right? And then foreign direct investment is like someone who wants to marry you. So there are two different things, yeah? So if, with that illustration at the back of your mind, so you see, it's when you're dating a woman that you begin to see clearly, what do I need to do? Is this thing really going to work? So when I teach, investment promotion, these are part of things, illustrations that will stick in anybody's head. Because if you must define your business environment, you need to be able to make sure that, yes, there are certain things that you must do. I give a very simple example. When the Honorable Minister was appointed, I was one of the most excited persons. Why? Because she sat on a desk for over 8 years. Pebek. Now, when they were doing the analysis, they took Lagos and Kano. Because remember, there was a time our ease of doing business, our rates started going up. Now, while she was doing that, using those two states, now, coming in as a minister, I was just, I know that she understands where the pitfalls are. The issue is investors are driven by resources, both natural and human resources. They are driven by markets. So, of course, our population, people should not mistake population for markets. Now, because you need to have disposable income to be able to purchase whatever service and goods that your people are going to produce. So you can have large amount of people, a large population with no disposable income. So it doesn't mean anything. So number three is investors are very interested in strategic assets. Assets like, let's say, the oil installations, the public, the BPP, what's it called, the Bureau of Private Enterprise, when they were offloading some assets. They are interested. But the key thing is that the denominator is the efficiency in your system. Now, investors are like water. They flow to areas of least resistance. So with that at the back of your mind, you will know that, yes, big investments will move faster because it comes in, like a flood. So it can push through. So that's why you can see Dangote build a refinery of billions in dollars. But when it comes to the smaller ones, they find it very difficult because they don't have the capacity to function within the space. So this is where the minister needs to now go back to her diaries. The diary where she was writing all the issues that we have, because that efficiency can actually cancel out everything that you have. You have oil, okay, look at what has happened. When it comes to ease of doing business, the country that comes first, second most of the time is Singapore or New Zealand. One of the two. They always come first. Now, in Singapore, they don't have any single hydrocarbon in Singapore. The closest hydrocarbon in Singapore is about 630-kilometer pipeline coming from Indonesia. But guess what? All the big refineries are in Singapore. But they told us before in industrialization that you must site your factory close to your raw material. No, efficiency has eroded that. Because in Singapore, I can start my business in 1 hour in Singapore. I can see my exit plan. My business can actually start working as soon as I walk into Singapore because all that, the bureaucracy has been taken care of. So these are the things I know in the coming days the minister should be able to, begin to use policy directions to make sure that, yes, of course, everything cannot happen at the federal, of course, The state, the subnationals, they are very key because those investments are domiciled in the states. I used to give one very simple illustration most of the time when it comes to, looking at investments. Now, power is one of our biggest issues as a nation. We want power. But I've never seen a country where for you to do power, you must interface with at least 8 different government agencies. 8. Ministry of Environment for your EIA, which must occur within dry season and rainy season. That's 6 months, 6 months. That's 1 year gone already. You've not started. This, you are just looking for license. You go to NERC to discuss license. They will now expect you to go and do your evacuation study, so that because that's where the power is going to go out from. So you have to go to TCN, and these are things you'll be doing. Of course, if it's a gas powered, that means you have to go to NNPC, and NNPC will go to NGC, Nigerian Gas Company. And as soon as you're having the conversation, we'll tell you they don't have a budget for there to be an infrastructure to support the gas supply. That's it. You're starting all over again. So these are things. An investor does not have that kind of time. So if I had $100 million, I wanted to do power in Nigeria, of course, you have to also interface with MBET. Because power is not something you store, you put on a shelf. It's something that has to go So somebody has to give me a guarantee that if I do this, it will work. So these are the things. So if we must solve this problem, right? So in the power sector, I just described power sector for you. Now, all you need to do is what I call a plug-and-play approach when it comes to investment drive. For example, I just told you, if you want to do that in Singapore, what Singapore would have done in Jurong Island, right, is to get all those, because we're talking about governments here. We're not talking about somebody dealing with another country. It's still the same Nigeria. So what we'll do is we distill those, pressure points, pull them all together, and then have the license waiting. Anybody that wants to do power, I have done the EIA, I've gotten the location, I have the gas. So that's how. So that kind of investment drive we must go. Because, these are desperate times. We need the resources. We need to create jobs. We need things to start to work. So these are the approach. I need us to begin to look at X-ray, before we even go into other sectors. But I just use power as an example.
I'm sorry to say, I just saw news in now that the national grid collapses again. Because I saw that even before I left the house this morning, and it was strange that light went off. So if that is happening, that means something really needs, because many have talked about this grid not having the capacity.
It can't.
To carry 230 million persons. How do you expect a grid that has been the supply capacity even from TCN, from all of it, not over in about 5,000 megawatts, when a country like South Africa with about 60 to 70 million population is doing
over 20.
I think about 40-something thousand megawatts.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to play around that. But let's not look at government agencies, which you've touched on some of them. When you talk about investments, we have the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, that's for export though. We have the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, which also, all of this, we have the customs, they have a role to play in driving investments. We have all of these agencies. Many a times, I've spoken to business people who will tell you some, not all, in quote, some might not even be working on the same page with government. Government is pushing this directive. They are pushing another directive on the other side. So, do you think that this present administration is better than what we used to have? Talking about the relationship with government and these agencies.
Like I said, I started from the manpower audit that was done by Mr. President. And said, oh, President chose the right person to put in there as the Minister of Trade and Investment. She just left. I mean, I listened to her. Now, the point still remains that under her, because this whole bureaucracy and issues will continue. Because, I mean, culturally, we're taught to preach to people to do the right thing. But it's actually wrong. We're supposed to make people do the right thing. You have to twist people to do the right thing. In 2003, I think it was during Obasanjo's time, President Obasanjo's time, sorry, he created an office called One Stop Shop at the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. Now, the subnationals can be represented there. So, which brings the political angle to it. If you need to make laws to support the one-stop shop, to make sure that the subnationals are there, because, like I said, projects are domiciled in a state. Do you know what it takes? There is a particular state in this nation that when someone became governor in that state, no C of O was signed until he left office. So what that simply means, no investment, no new investment entered that state throughout that time. So what happens to the young people who are there? How would they get jobs? Right? So these are the kind of things. So those conversations have to be brought to the fore, and which is why I say investment promotion is not a white-collar job. The minister, she has work. A lot of work. She needs to move from state to state. You know, I mean, there's even a division in the Nigerian Investment Promotion Council called State Coordination. So you have to keep moving, because you need to handhold investors, because, like I said, they don't have that kind of time. Hofstede, the Hofstede theory, when it comes to cross-cultural dimension to investment promotion, speaks to how you need to understand that everybody has a language. There's a way people see things. A man who has $100 million thinks differently from a man who has 100 million naira. What does that tell you? So you need to understudy how their brain works for you to be able to convince that person to be able to carry his money or her money to come to your environment to do business. Like I said, the key thing is the efficiencies is what we need to work on. Because without the efficiency, nobody wants to carry his or her money. And sometimes, don't forget, investors, when we talk about this money, some of them are, other people's money. These are bank funds. These are investors. These are, private equity. So it can't. Have you ever checked some of the countries, their websites, what they say to travelers? Don't go to this place. Don't go to that place. So these are the things. There has to be it's everybody's job, as it were. Everybody has to be part of this, because it's not just sit down there. And some of our leaders also have to be very careful when this. I mean, we're playing politics, but sometimes there are certain things you don't say, right? You don't make comments that would deter somebody who is out there, because everybody's listening. It's a global village now. With my phone, I can listen to what's happening in Czech Republic. Anywhere. So our leaders need to also know what to say and what not to say, and at what point they should not say what they are not supposed to say.
Let's talk about the consolidation between monetary and fiscal side. You know, we've always talked about CBN's policy, which many also say is driving those FPIs that we're talking about, because the stability in the foreign exchange market, our reserves bouncing back to above 40 billion US dollars. These are some positives that will make investors say, let me put my money in that country. I should be able to repatriate my funds. We've sorted out all of the airlines that were being owed and all of that. So that brings a bit of credibility. But what more are you expecting from the monetary policy side moving forward? Don't mind me, I like illustrations a lot. That makes it very interesting.
So I always describe our monetary policy managers and the fiscal policy managers as in the football team. The monetary policy managers are the defenders, while the fiscal policy managers are the strikers. So the victory or the success of each team is highly dependent on what the strikers do than what the defenders do. So pretty much, the central bank and will continue to defend the economy, continue to turn out policies that will support bringing stability in the economy. But those strategies, those industrialization, those policies that will support industrialization, that will support us scoring the goals, because I mean there's a competition between us and every other person in the world, has to be has to be pushed by those at the physical end, and it involves even the legislators, it involves the judiciary. I say that because, I mean, some of the things that an investor will look at before he or she wants to do business, they actually look at how fast it is for you to get, get your what's it called, your legal disputes resolved. Those are the kind of things that they look at to make sure. That's why I said this investment promotion thing is everybody's job, as it were, because if it takes 10 years for a land dispute to be resolved, right, it gives an investor out there difficulty to take a decision to want to do business in Nigeria, because if any dispute comes in, for example, I'm having an industrial issue and it can't be resolved within a specific time, nobody will wait for that long. So it still boils down to the same thing. So the fiscal policy managers, there has to be this huge hunger transferred to everybody. Everybody needs to know that we must sit, we must have that confluence, that conversation to say we really want investors in Nigeria, and then we'll all begin to work towards it. Raw material supply strategy, which is one of the most important things when it comes to industrialization. Of course, you need to look at the road networks. How do you move goods from, let's say, from the farm gate to the industries? So these are key things. So everybody has to be part of this conversation. But like I said, the work that the central bank is doing is fantastic. And that's actually what they need to do at this point in time. They need to do everything possible. Everybody fall back, defend, make sure that we're good, give credibility to our system, and the money markets, give just what they have done is to be able to give put us out there in a good light. And I also like the fact that they are working hand in hand, understanding each other. With the fiscal policy managers.
That's a good one. Before we wrap this up, ITF is coming to Lagos. I think that is a good one for us. After Cairo, Durban, Algiers, and now to Nigeria. At least to me, that makes us stand among. At least we are still among the first four. So at least anyway, despite our rebasing and all of that, we still stand among the first four. So what do you also make of that? Talking about driving investments, I'm concerned particularly for our manufacturers, how competitive they are considering other climes.
Now you see, I want to see it from from the fact that people are, there's going to be that gathering.
Yes.
Right? So when people are coming to your place, you need to prepare for the people coming. So everybody needs to understand, especially since we're going to be in Lagos. I don't know whether area boys will wear uniform that period. I'm just joking. So the point still remains that we need to prepare well, we need to package
very
well.
organized.
So the Ministry of, it's not just a trade and investment thing. The Ministry of Tourism has to, wake up to the reality. If they need to start training people in hotels, we need to start getting people to know how to receive persons. We shouldn't assume anything. So if the people who work, the taxi drivers need to start getting an understanding of things to say and things not to say.
True.
So I mean, it's like I've seen. You see, before China became what it is today. In 2004, I went to China for an event. I realized that they are so deliberate. They plan every single thing. So I am not surprised where they are today. Every single person, the chaperones, people were taught, the drivers, so it was not every driver that will function within the space of the event. Only those that have gone through the training that will. So for you to receive the world, let me go back to my marriage matter. For you to be able, the day that your in-laws are coming, you must arrange the house.
Yes.
The house has to be ready.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I mean, there are no two ways about it.
Indeed, I totally agree with you because they really have. Everyone has to be. Everyone has to be involved in this. But let's see how all of this plays out and see what happens going forward. But just to wrap this up, we are moving towards the last quarter of the year, and a lot is expected. Yeah. You know, there's going to be an MPC meeting in September. But aside that, what is your own outlook for Nigeria's economy, considering the figures we are getting from all relevant agencies?
I expect growth. Yeah, I expect, yeah, of course, I expect the central bank to still, you know...
Hold rates?
Yes, I mean, yes, a lot of people might not like it, but the truth about the matter is the issues...
Yeah, I get.
The issues are around industrialization, productivity. Now, there are other channels you can use to make funds available, which I always say all the time. The development finance institutions. Yes, the minister just said that Nexim just disbursed 400 billion. If I put that side by side with the size of our economy, that's a... So if we have to think, do at least 4, 5, 10 times of that to be able to get the effect that we're looking for. So we have to be a bit more creative when it comes to providing financial, you know, our financial engineering support system has to be a bit more attractive and a bit more innovative. I mean, we have the BOI, we have the Bank of Agriculture, if we need to recapitalize those organizations, recapitalize. But when it comes to holding rates, I don't have a problem with that if you have those alternatives working. Because, I mean, the interest rate in those development finance institutions are lower. So everybody should be able to meet up, you know, the documentation, the due diligence process that would give you access. So if they need to also create products that will support, you know, smaller people, you know, I don't have to go to Bank of Industry and they're asking me to bring a guarantee from a commercial bank. Yes, I understand they have to do that because these funds, they have to account for these funds. But the reality is, if you need to start getting, you know, going to people's villages to know them very well and getting their chiefs to sign on their behalf, they should do that if they must support the smaller businesses.
Mr. Ogbonna Okuku is an investment portfolio expert, economic development expert. So, has been speaking to me around, of course, investment drive, Nigeria's economy, and all of it. Thank you so much for coming through. It's really good to see you.
Yes, Tolu, thank you so much for having me in Lagos.
All right, then. Thank you. So, well, you're welcome to Lagos. Lagos is always ready, like the minister said.
Okay.
And I think I align with her.
Thank you so much.